Even as Republican-devised surges go, this is remarkable. If it keeps up at this rate, it will be the longest summer in history. Our #1 story in the countdown, the surge in the gap between the nation's top two Republicans and reality. McBush versus the truth. It started Tuesday when John McCain got corrected by Joe Lieberman about his disingenuous claim of Iranian al-Qaeda links, about which more in a moment. McCain today again needing Lieberman's help after forgetting a reporter's question. And yesterday in Israel, of all places, McCain described the holiday of Purim as the Jewish version of Halloween. Lieberman to the rescue a third time, falling on his sword, saying that he had told McCain that Purim involves kids dressing up and eating candy in Israel. Also yesterday, the White House spokesperson responding to a question about Mr. Bush's sci-fi story earlier in the day that al-Qaeda will inherit Iraq if we leave, with a falsehood of her own, denying he ever said it.
I don't understand how a fragmented, clandestine, non-Iraqi terrorist organization could produce and sell Iraqi oil on the global market, especially when the majority of Iraqis have turned against al-Qaeda. Could you describe a plausible scenario?
You're missing the point, and I think that you should go back and read the... Yeah, I think you are missing the point, and I call on you because I see what you write about how you come here and you really want to have questions asked, and I'm calling on you and I'm providing it to you, but I suggest that you read the president's speech and read it in context, because that's what you're suggesting is not what the president said.
Condescension aside, let's debunk that right now by presenting, as she recommends, Mr. Bush's original falsehood earlier that day about a hypothetical U.S. withdrawal.
The terrorist movement could emerge emboldened with new recruits, new resources, and an even greater determination to dominate the region and harm America. And emboldened al-Qaeda with access to Iraq's oil resources could pursue its ambitions to acquire weapons of mass destruction to attack America and other free nations. Iran would be emboldened as well.
Mr. Bush's implication of Iranian al-Qaeda common cause, right in step with McCain's myth-making referenced earlier, and now despite McCain's claim that he simply misspoke, and of course he knows Iran is not helping al-Qaeda because he knows they hail from rival Muslim sects, he is also disproved not just because he's repeated it 4 times as documented here yesterday, but because it turns out today that in an even earlier iteration he directly refers to Iran's differences with al-Qaeda and claimed they worked together anyway.
Al-Qaeda is there, they are functioning, they are supported in many ways by the Iranians, even though there is differences there. They feel they have a common enemy.
The Washington Post today pointing out that a McCain fact sheet quoting a U.S. general apparently supporting the Iran al-Qaeda lie conveniently omits his key phrase, quote, "We don't see any evidence, significant evidence, that shows that the Iranian groups are funding and providing arms to Shia extremists or directly related to al-Qaeda." Here with a little reality check right now, Rachel Maddow, the MSNBC political analyst, host of her own program on Air America Radio. Good evening and good late evening to you. Thanks for staying with us.
Hi, Keith.
McBush, both seem suddenly bent on tying Iran to al-Qaeda.
Yeah. I mean, bad enough that a presidential nominee might not know the difference between Sunni al-Qaeda and Shia Iran, but how much worse is it to think that he might be inspired by his own mistake to now try to make it seem true? Or, even worse than that, that he might be actively trying to conflate Iran and al-Qaeda in cahoots with the White House, much the way that they tried to conflate Iraq and al-Qaeda, so that we'd all be hoodwinked into believing that attacking Iraq would be revenge for 9/11.
So is it official that McCain's claim that he simply misspoke when he did this, that, no, I'm sorry, it's not al-Qaeda, it's just extremists, that was a lie to cover the earlier set of lies? And if that's the case, what is Lieberman doing trying to correct him? Did he not get the program? Did he not? What?
Well, they have to figure out whether they're going to play the doddering old man line or whether they're going to play this "I was right all along" line. He told John McCain told Kelly O'Donnell yesterday that he was astonished anybody might think he didn't know Sunni from Shia, and I wrote this down from the transcript directly to make sure I got it right. Ha ha ha! I'm astonished. Frankly, I'm astonished to think I would have some lack of knowledge about Sunni and Shia after my 8th visit, and my deep involvement in this issue is a bit ludicrous. Ha ha ha. How can it be ludicrous if you've done it 4 times? Why would it be ludicrous for us to believe that you believe something you've said 4 times in a row?
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a credibility issue later. Where is the media calling him out on this?
I'm waiting for the media to call him out on anything.
Yeah, I mean, other than the two of us.
Yes, right.
And if we're the mainstream media, we all need to move out of this country because we're in a lot of trouble.
Yes, it's an unusual stream. There are 3 Airbus lobbyists who are working on his campaign, and he's intervening to help out Airbus. He's named as his spiritual guide a man who says the United States should aim to destroy the religion of Islam.
Was partially founded to do that.
Yes, exactly. Christopher Columbus had that idea in the first place.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be alarmed by the fact that John McCain's either doddering or incoherent on this issue about Iran and al-Qaeda. I'm waiting for them to give him some of the press coverage that he deserves.
And 3 times in 3 days, Lieberman corrects or course corrects or covers, or what? Is he running for, he wants to be vice president on 2 different parties' tickets, or what?
First Lady? I mean, he brings Joe-mentum, which cannot be overestimated. To have to correct him on national security issues implies that he wants you to know that he'll be there answering that phone at 3 a.m. in case John McCain can't find it in the dark.
And he doesn't know where the phone is. All right, I've got about a minute left, and I would feel like I was depriving you of not giving some opportunity to frame tomorrow's discussion of the Obama passport issue. What is the most important thing that has not been touched on or needs to be thrashed out tomorrow?
I think there are 3 questions that at least need to be poked at least need to be asked first. 1, who are the Bush administration officials who leaked this story to the Washington Times, of all papers? And why did they leak it to the Washington Times supposedly before Condoleezza Rice or the State Department spokesman knew about this? The Washington Times is a somewhat partisan paper. Why did they get the leak?
Yeah.
Number 2?
Because they're a somewhat partisan paper. Go ahead.
Right,
Number 2.
okay.
I can answer that one for you already.
Yes.
Take that one off the table.
But who's leaking from the Bush administration to that paper, and why with this timing? Also, who are the companies that have the contracts to do this passport work, that employ these contractors who have been either disciplined or fired for these breaches? Do those companies have partisan ties? If we're wondering whether there were partisan impulses behind these breaches, we should know who those companies are. And the reason there isn't an inspector general at the State Department right now is because Cookie Krongard left the first week in December under the threat of a perjury trial, and after being implicated with shutting down investigations into Blackwater. Is there a Cookie Krongard problem here?
Yeah, and has the cookie crumbled? And number 2, by the way, if the answer to number 2 is Halliburton, I am buying the entire nation a beer. Our own Rachel Maddow, the host of the Rachel Maddow Show on Air America with Rachel Maddow. Great, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, a quick recap of the breaking news tonight that the State Department has fired 2 contract employees, unnamed, and disciplined a 3rd, unnamed, for having breached the personal passport file of Senator Obama once per month over the past 3 months. A spokesman for the Obama campaign calling that breach an outrageous breach of security and privacy. The State Department itself, through its spokesman, claiming its top officials, including Secretary Rice, only learned of the incidents today, which is when it informed the office of Senator Obama. As for intent, State saying further that it does not know if information about Obama was disseminating. NBC News learning minutes ago that the State Department official in charge of consular affairs during the first 2 breaches of Obama's passport information, Consular Affairs Chief Maura Harty, had served as ambassador to Paraguay during, wait for it, the Clinton administration. Stay tuned for more tomorrow. Let's count down for this, the 1,786th day since the declaration of mission accomplished in Iraq. And Keith Olbermann, good night and good luck.